Gaming is for friends.
I thought this music was so epic.
We all like talking about gaming.
The only thing that I disliked about the old game.
There are so many different conversations started by gaming.
Oh, I forgot I have you.
This could be anything.
Okay, walk in that green goo. Oh, nope. That's a no.
Anything gaming. Hi, and welcome to Anything Gaming. I'm Ant, and today we're on episode 13, and we're doing stealth games. I'm not really sure if you can see him, but he's over there. That's Woody. How are you going today, mate?
I am going great, honestly. I'm in a fantastic mood right now. As far as gaming on my end, I'm still working through Wonder. Although, I got some good news, everyone. Tomorrow, after I get at work, I will be the owner of a PlayStation Portal. It's coming home. So hopefully next week.
You're getting one of those, are you?
I am getting one of those. Yes. I'm very because we talked about the Wii U on this channel, and I love the Wii U. You know, it's my favorite failed console, and sorry guys, it is a failed console, but I love it. So if I can make my PS5 a little bit more like Wii U, I am on board. And if I got some time, I might pick up the Mario RPG remake, but honestly, I can wait on that. I played that game twice so far this year. There's a story behind it, but just know I play the game through twice, so I'm not in a rush to touch it the third time. But yeah, other than that, brother, I'm doing great. How about yourself? What's going on your end?
I actually bought the call after last week's show of talking about all the run and gun RPGs. FPSs. Let me get it right. And
I want to run it on RPG.
Yeah. So I got Call of Duty, and I thought I'd go through that. And I haven't played a Call of Duty for a couple of years now, and it's pretty good. Even though I can understand the hate for it, but yeah, it's some good stuff.
I understand that the campaign's quite short. Single player campaign.
I haven't done that. I've just been playing online. The hate mostly comes from because everyone's saying, hey, Modern Warfare 2 was fantastic, and this feels like it's just a DLC for Modern Warfare 2, but we're paying full price. And that's where the hate kind of comes from. But if you didn't play Modern Warfare 2, then yeah, it's pretty good. And also, people are like playing through going, hey, Modern Warfare 2, it makes you download or gives you an option at the start to download Modern Warfare 2, but then you have to pay for it. And so, yeah, there's some things like that kind of cheese you off about the game.
You know, if people don't like it that much, don't buy it.
Don't buy it. Yeah.
I will never understand how games get hate in the first place. People, and don't get me wrong, a lot of especially the publishers, not so much developers, but the publishers do mess up, and they do clear, greedy money grab things and all that. So don't give them your money. Problem solved. I don't understand why people like complain about that. Like, when people complain about microtransactions, don't buy them. Just don't support it. Maybe it'll go away.
I want the other skin.
You want to shoot a whole bunch of people as Nicki Minaj. I get it. Who doesn't? But maybe, if you don't get the scratch for it, oh well.
Yeah, I want to be Tomb Raider. Actually, Tomb Raider looks amazing in Call of Duty. It's so weird and fun at the same time. But
yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So that's where so we'll go into stealth games. Now, stealth games are the weirdest genre of games in my eyes anyway. They kind of have this love. Everyone loves a stealth game, but the franchises never seem to last. The franchises always seem to die off quickly because like you make one good stealth game, and then if you try and improve on that, then it might make the game too difficult or too easy. The balance in stealth games can be quite complicated. So what's your love-hate relationship with stealth games?
Well, go into what you said about how some stealth franchises can't really take a hold. I mean, there's the obvious ones. There's the Metal Gears, there's the Thieves, there's the Splinter Cell. But I think the one thing that works against stealth games is that, I can instantly list a whole bunch of games off the top of my head right now that by no means are stealth games, but they do have stealth sections in the game. Like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now, there's a game that's a Grand Theft Auto game, especially San Andreas, drive-bys, listen to, NWA on the radio and all that stuff, loud, right? But there are missions where you have to break into someone's house and you have to be real quiet and don't make a whole lot of noise. Now you're playing a stealth game, you know? There, BioShock, for example, there's a game where you're fighting, people and all that, but you can be quiet. You can duck and sneak up on people, hit them with that wrench, things like that. So because of that, I think that might hurt some stealth games that are just strictly stealth, like no plan B, like either you're quiet or you're dead. That might work against the franchise, but once again, the franchise just ain't the gameplay. It's also the characters, the story, the setting, the dialogue. Some are better than others. Everyone loves Metal Gear Solid. I do. And that was a really good stealth game, but it wasn't even just the stealth. Even though it was cool and it actually had good stealth mechanics, the story, music, the graphics for the time, the dialogue, all that stuff. That's what made that game so memorable. Honestly, as far as like me going with stealth games, I can't get into just like a game. Like, I don't mind if a game has a stealth section, as long as it's done well. Some games do not do them well, and you just end up like, okay, we're just gonna shoot everyone now. You know what I mean? And hope for the best. Looks like I'm not getting the good ending, but for the most part, like I respect the stealth genre enough, I'll say this: I'll play a stealth game quicker than I'll play a roguelike.
Oh, yes.
if that's worth anything.
Roguelike stealth game. There you go.
Oh man, have they done that yet? God, no one take this idea, please. Like it should never see the light of day.
No.
For me though, I would say stealth games started with Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
There were plenty of stealth games before that, even going back to like, the old, Commodore. But for me, stealth starts with Metal Gear Solid. That's when I really started playing stealth and I enjoyed it. And I don't want to say it died with this, but for me, I lost all interest in stealth games when I tried Dishonored. And it's a good game. Don't think I'm shitting on the game at all. But I was just so pissed off that, like, okay, so here's a game that in order to get the good ending to this game, you can't mess up once.
Yeah.
If you kill one dude, boom, bad ending, done. And I think that's even like something like Symphony of Night. You have to find like 195% of the room to get the good ending. They give you a little leeway. Once like I started playing a stealth game like that was just so like rigid and draconian. Screw it. Like,
yeah,
give me a machine gun and some Gibbs. Like at that point, I just rather not. But between that, there were a lot of good stealth games I did play. But as you said, franchise-wise, Metal Gear Solid was a franchise.
I feel like
I guess
the last one killed it off a bit. Not the remakes, but the last one before that. It really did kill the franchise.
For the record, though, I'm pretty sure that one was not like Hideo Kojima had nothing to do with that one. So there's a red flag as any as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
But and then there's other ways to do this. See, stealth to me isn't just hide in the shadows. Look at something like Assassin's Creed. Those are games where you're hiding out right in the open, but it's still stealth.
Well, Assassin's Creed's gone about it a bit differently because the franchise kind of built itself on stealth, but then it started turning into an RPG because they realized just having that stealth component was too much for the franchise to survive. And I think the latest Mirage or whatever it's called, I think that game's done terribly. I don't think it's done hardly any sales or anything. I know over here I can buy it for like half price at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, there was a bit of a marketing campaign for it. I remember hearing about it, but it just came and went, it's got its fans. Assassin's Creed, it does have a robust, fan base. But kind of going back to what we said, it more or less ended up becoming an RPG, but just with some stealth elements in there that you occasionally gotta tick off, I suppose. Which is a shame because like I'm thinking Assassin's Creed 1, where it's just like it's almost strictly stealth. You know what I mean? You can't be seen. I mean, you can be seen. But
too hard. I think that one was too hard from a stealth point of view, and then they lightened the stealth from there. And
Yeah,
that,
with the
and that's where
Ezio.
that's where it kind of took off. Assassin's Creed 1 was a lot of people's most hated version of Assassin's Creed. It was
I
mine.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
It was my
Yeah.
hated. I hated it. I liked Brotherhood. And when you got to play NCO, I loved being that guy. I felt like an Italian stallion. I was proud and everywhere, like it was great.
I would say the worst one. Now, I played 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, 3, and Black Flag. The best one I played was Black Flag.
Oh,
by
everyone
far.
loves that. Everyone loved that.
Black Flag is great. I would say the weakest for me out of that collection would probably be Revelations.
Yeah.
Only because by then, and I love Constantinople. Actually, funny story. I worked with a woman from Turkey, and beautiful lady, Meryl. If you're watching this, I love you, and I hope I see you again someday. She moved back. And we were just talking one time, and I was playing Revelations, and I started talking about, Constantinople, Istanbul, the Grand Bazaar, Mount Ararat, things like that. And her eyes just lit up. She didn't know that's, someone would know so much about her homeland. And I was like, oh, yeah, man. And we started talking. I didn't tell her it was because of a video game I was playing.
You don't want to break her heart.
No, not at all. Oh, she was so happy. It was one of the best conversations I had with someone ever. It was so happy. Revelation was a good game, but by then, the Assassin's Creed 2 way of doing things a little long in the tooth. 3 is kind of, I guess you could say, a worse game than Revelations, but Boston's in it. I gotta show pride to my local heritage, so that kind of gets the pass. We've mentioned on the show, if it's anywhere near where I live, if you put that in a video game, I'm gonna give you points just on that. So for that, 3 gets the pass too. Plus, I did like the woodland areas of 3. I thought it did that fairly well. Jumping up on trees, stuff like that. So that definitely gets a bit of. At the very least, it was more interesting and better than Revelations. And after
Revelations was the one with the weird controls. Like they had the same controls for all the games, and then they got to Revelations and they changed all the buttons, and you're like, oh, what's happening here? Is that the one? Is that what happened in Revelation? I remember Revelations. I hated it because it had some really dumb buttons.
It was like in 2013 or 2015, what you thought, how third person, adventures controlled. They just kind of changed it. I always consider it. There's 2 types of games: games where you run by pressing the left bumper, and games where you run by pressing the left stick. And I think it was one of those things where they kind of changed that. Not directly that, but just that general feel, where, okay, it's still comfortable, but you got to get used to it now. And yeah, at that point, I never played. What was after Black Flag? It was
Syndicate, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was Unity, Assassin's Creed Unity.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the one that crashed everywhere because they put all these really cool attributes and things into the game where you'd be able to walk around and everyone be having all these different conversations and they'd all be moving. But it turns out consoles could not hold that. So it crashed on every single console terribly. I remember playing the game and it looked fantastic until you started to move. And I don't even know who pressed the go button to release that Unity. And then I played it literally months later, and it played pretty good and all that stuff. But they'd taken out all the cool features that they'd put into the game initially, so that was a shame, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I mean, once again, you're trying to put 10 pounds in a 5-pound box. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you should just back off, and maybe it won't crash so many times. I mean, speaking of crashing, I gotta just say, everyone, I played Baldur's Gate 3 for about an hour on my computer, and it didn't crash once. So, there we go. We're doing good.
Oh, back to Assassin's Creed. This is one of the most beautiful stories that I think, coming from a video game kind of point of view, is the Notre Dame burnt down. We all know about that. It kind of took many.
Yeah,
I think it went over.
sucked.
It sucked, but Assassin's Creed had gone in there and physically modeled the whole building to actually make it for the game. It was a big part of one of the games that they had. So they gave $500,000 to help rebuild it. Plus they use the 3D models to help everyone remember how to put it all back together. So technically a video game is rebuilding history. And I think that's also awesome and amazing. Like, you don't hear stories like that very often.
Oh yeah, and it's a shame you don't hear stories like that very often, because stories like that. One thing I've learned about any news story, even video games, is that the first news you're gonna hear is always the bad news. And I remember you mentioned that, and I was like, wow, I didn't even hear about that. So I looked it up, and I was like, why didn't this ever come up on my feed? This is a great story. This is something. Restoring history will never ever be a bad thing.
No.
We need history. We need to you learn from history. Unless or you to repeat it. That's how the old saying goes. So the fact that we were able to use a video game to restore history, mind-blowing and awesome. You gotta tip my hat to Ubisoft on that one. They came through.
Imagine being like one of the rebuilders, and they're walking into the Notre Dame on their PlayStation 5 or whatever, and they're looking up, okay, yeah, that's how we have to paint that bit. And they're playing the game just so they can actually look at this Notre Dame and rebuild it as accurate as possible. Like, I think that's so fun. It's kind of funny, but awesome at the same time. It's amazing.
Yeah, I enjoy that. But going back to franchises, of course, because you mentioned that Assassin's Creed kind of broke away from the stealth genre and just became its own thing. There's some other franchise. Thief is a good franchise, but it's not like a money-making franchise.
Nah.
It's a critically acclaimed franchise.
Yeah. It's
got its fan base, but it's not making any dollars. Nicki Minaj will not be in a Thief game.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
But once again, are we talking franchises as in like these juggernaut money-making machines? Are we talking franchises are kind of like a cult thing? That has
that's true. There's a lot of them that are cult things. Like Splinter Cell had its moment and everyone loved it, and then it just died. Like, whether or not they could make money out of it or not, I don't know, but it just disappeared from the face of the earth.
Well,
Hitman's the same as that one too.
In the case of Splinter Cell, that's not just the Splinter Cell franchise. That's the Tom Clancy franchise. Which has Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, freaking, I don't know, the Sum of All Fears or whatever other Tom Clancy things are coming out with. So in a way, Splinter Cell kind of got mixed in the shuffle with that. So it was like, all right, we got our tactical shooter, we got our tactical squad, and then we got our tactical stealth game. And I love Splinter Cell. I played the first two, and I thought they were really good. I actually tried the multiplayer when that came out back in the day. Didn't go so well. Nah. But, it fun game. I definitely like Metal Gear a little better. Because Metal Gear seems more like a video game, if that makes any sense.
I thought Splinter Cell, I think I preferred Splinter Cell personally. But I think they moved away from Splinter Cell because the other online games probably generate more money than Splinter Cell, to be honest, and it doesn't really work as a online multiplayer game at all. Like, that's just one thing.
Did they ever reboot Splinter Cell, like storyline wise?
No.
Or it's always been Sam Fisher? Well, Michael Ironside. And that's another thing I did like about anything with Michael Ironside doing the voice of is awesome. But, as much as I did like Splinter Cell back in the day and I played through it, will I ever play it again? I don't know. I don't think so. It was good. And going on Hitman. Hitman was a game that they actually did try to...
I can sell you that whole studio for $1.
American?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because...
My wallet's all the way over there, man. I don't feel like walking.
No, okay, so the story came out the other day that they're trying to sell that studio off because it hasn't made money for 10 years. It's lost money. And they've tried different versions of Hitman, releasing chapters. They've tried doing all these different things to get the franchise rebooted, and they can't do anything, so they're just selling it off now for $1 just to kind of get rid of it.
What I would do is I'd buy it, but I would definitely I'd sit on it for like another decade. And then try to roll it out, because it's in a weird spot. I mean, I would say try to go for nostalgia, But even back then, like Hitman 2, I think was like the biggest Hitman game, and that was the Hitman game that arrived on the consoles.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first one I played. And honestly, looking back, Hitman's good, but that's a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as freeform as the old Assassin's Creed games would be, where like, okay, you're not gonna do it this way, but you can do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
With Hitman, it seemed like there were 3 ways to do it: the correct way, the wrong way, or the wrong way. But now you're shooting everyone. And those were the only 3 ways to possibly do it. So
I don't mind that in a stealth game where they go, okay, you kind of stuff that level up. Now go and see if you can survive shooting everyone. Like you've got the option of doing it the easier way of being stealth, and then you muck it up, but that's okay. You can fight your way out of there. I don't mind that so much. I think that's a better way to be in a stealth game.
Right, yeah.
But a lot of them make it so if you muck it up, you've really got to kill people, be a really good shot because it's
right. Yeah, they're not going to
hard.
make it easy for you. Like I know with one of probably my favorite pure stealth game is Manhunt. Never played the second one, but I love the first one. And in case you get caught, pretty much what you do is just run around until you kind of lose them a bit, and then you hide in the shadows and just hope they don't go right there. Usually they don't, but it's all right. They'll walk away for a while.
Yeah.
But even that, it's funny too that I bring up Manhunt because it's about like, I want to say it's like 15 levels, and or 20 levels, and it's a great stealth game up until like the 17th, 18th level when you get the rifle and the guns, and now you're like really just shooting everyone you come in contact with. There's very little stealth anymore. But like for the rest of the game, it was a phenomenal stealth game, probably one of my favorites. And the mechanics that would be used in the Manhunt game, you would see the exact same, even the same reticle in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas when you're sneaking up behind someone and you get that little like circle there that kind of looks like Star Fox symbols. Like they just took it right from that. So it was definitely one of those things where like it was a great stealth game, but it was being made for something more. And that's another game that even though they got a sequel, never became a franchise.
Well, okay, so the 2 franchises, and I assume that they're stealth games, but they're probably my favorite ones, are the sniper ones, Sniper Elite and Sniper Ghost Warrior or whatever they call them. Those ones there, Sniper Elite in particular, the first couple of those games were just really, really well designed levels that were so big, and so you kind of had to come into a level and you shoot long range to take everyone out, and then you'd move forward a bit, get a new position, and then you'd take everyone out. Then you'd move forward again and kind of clear out the level like that. And it was just so satisfying to do because you had the scope and you could see all the bad guys, or most of the time, unless they were in a building. And it wasn't as trial and error. It was kind of like, yeah, I can see what's happening there. I've got me scope. I can scope everything out, and I can take things out from afar. So, do you like those sniper games?
Any game that has sniping as like its principle going for it. I would say my favorite sniping game was Silent Scope.
Okay,
but that's more of a light gun game.
Okay.
I want to say it's actually made by the people that make Time Crisis
in
the arcade. Like, and it'd be and even though there's a screen you're not supposed to look at the screen. You look at the little sniper thing right there, and you do it that way. Very fun game. As far as the Sniper Elite games, I haven't played those only because, and it must be said, I think I mentioned this, I'm just getting bad open world burnout. And I remember hearing about, I think it was the 3rd Sniper Elite game that had like a huge, obvious, because you're a sniper, so you need a big playing field. But I heard it was huge. I heard it was big. Maybe you can fill me in on that because I wouldn't know.
The maps were large, but they weren't. I don't know. They weren't that big. Also, like, you could probably finish the game in 8 hours, type thing. Especially the first one. It was really, really well made. Just fun because you had, like I said, it was a bit more stealth. And being an FPS kind of veteran, I would say I am now, I I kind of liked it a bit more because I could kind of just sit there. I could have me snacks or whatever, have a break, and I just sit there in the bushes and then, okay, I'll play for a bit more now. You know what I mean? Like, it was probably suits like old FPS people more so than younger kids that want to snipe by doing a 360 and sniping midair. Like, you're not doing that so much, but yeah, definitely getting through and getting all the radios taken out and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Another game like those sniper games in the FPS kind of world is the Far Cry series. And I think I like them more than the Assassin's Creed series. I enjoy you've got kind of a little area that you've got to clear out and you can kind of go around it. You can scope it out. I think I prefer that in a stealth game more so than trying to sneak in corridors and not knowing what's around the corner too much. I don't think I like that as much. I like to be able to kind of mark all my targets, understand the situation, and then move on in and clear it out as I need to.
No, what I definitely liked about Far Cry is that it's one of those perfect games where, you know, maybe you're trying to clear out a base or you're being quiet, but if the poo goes down, you're fine. Just, you know, you'll live. You'll be fine. It ain't like an instant death or anything like that. It's very less trial and error like most stealth games are, which is I always appreciate about the Far Cry series. And plus, honestly, the actual stealth mechanic itself, you gotta do the stealth mechanics right. You know, I think some enemies are a little too jumpy. You know, like you'll just be right behind them, and all of a sudden, like, it just seems unnatural. You know what I mean? And I get that. You know, most people notice someone sneaking around, no matter how big or small they are. But you got to keep it somewhat. You got to make the enemies dumb. You know, make sure the enemies are not smarter than you at that point. Otherwise, they got to find you, and it's pointless, you know. And Far Cry, to me, did that wonderfully. You know, I remember, you know, sometimes I would be able to mess up. I forget. I want to say it's 4, but I was high up, and I was thinking to myself, oh, okay, I'm going to go here. I'll take care of that guy. I'll stab that guy back, and I'll go there. I'll go there. I'll go there. So I walked down there, and one thing I never saw was a tiger cage. So I just let the tiger. There's 2 of them. I let the tigers out. Backed off, let them do their work, rolled right in, and took over that stuff. You know, I had to take down the tigers afterwards because, you know, they were still hungry for blood. But like just little things like that. It just goes to show you that you can make a ruckus, but as long as they don't know that you're the ruckus, that's stealth. They're not noticing you.
But then becomes my favorite franchise that is stealth and it doesn't really sell itself as a stealth game so much, but probably like Batman, I think that is like probably one of the best games to play as a stealth kind of component. But it's not sold as a stealth game. So
no, I mean, okay, so, you know, there's the Predator mode, and then there's the, I don't know, I'm just going to call it the fighting mode. Yeah, because that's what it goes over. And admittedly, there is some trial and error with the Predator modes and Batman, because then you might be able to throw a smoke bomb and get away that way, but most of the time, a bunch of people see you, doesn't matter how much Batman you are, they're going to shoot you to death.
Yeah.
But it is done very well. You know, you got the gadgets, you got the detective vision, you know, you got everything you need to be able to clear. I can't think of one, you know, stealth part in any of the Batman games that I was like, oh, the only time that it really would stink would be Arkham Origins, and that was just because the worst goddamn level tier system I've ever played in a video game ever. If anyone's watching this, link down in the comments below how much the worst nightmare is terrible in Arkham Origins. It's horrible. You know, but I got it. I got the trophy. But man, it was tough. Other than that, though, the stealth missions in Batman were always a pleasure and a blast to play.
I would be half stealth. I would take down a manageable amount of guys, and then I'd just jump down and go, okay, there's four guys left.
What's this 2 do? What's this 2 do? So they don't know, punch. Yeah. The other guy will be running. Yeah. His gun's off because, you know, you turned it off with the disruptor, and you're just walking towards him. He's like, why isn't this working? And you're just walking over like you're Batman. Yeah. You know?
And then that's satisfying because I start getting a bit all scared and flustered and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then you just go there, boom, done, all right. Let's see what we're
Yeah.
looking for.
So, bad stealth games. What's a bad stealth game?
Okay, now keep in mind, when I'm saying bad stealth game, I'm kind of meaning dated stealth games. So I'm going to be trashing some games. Not necessarily even trashing some games, but I'm going to be talking about some older games that, to me, really just didn't gel well. A game that I actually tried recently. I rented it back in the day, Tenchu Stealth Assassins.
Mm-hmm.
This came out for PS1, and it came out after Metal Gear Solid, when the stealth genre was just like, okay, now this is a genre. Now, like, we're all gonna jump in on this and make some good ones. Not a horrible game for its time, but it did not age especially well. Controls, camera, you kind of got to grapple with them a bit. That's the hardest thing too. If you're a stealth game and you don't have good controls and camera, you got to be able to control your guy, even more so now, and you're definitely going to have to see what the hell you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, I think I've always appreciated stealth games that are more third person than first person.
Or 2D,
then
like Abe's Odyssey.
Right, yeah, so you can see, where everything's going. But yeah, Tenchu, honestly, it just didn't do. And I got to talk about, again, Dishonored. Once again, actually a very good game, but the most draconian fucking punishment system. Here's the thing.
I'm pretty sure that I played Dishonored 2 and it fixed all the things I hated about Dishonored 1.
Here's the thing, okay? Now, in order to get the good ending, you have to go through the whole game and you can't kill anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, one thing, well, yeah, just don't kill anyone, use stealth and all that. But are you telling me if I mess up once early in the game, now I get the bad ending? Like, are you kidding me? What am I spending $60 for? You know what I mean? You can't make it like, a 90%, a 95%, even 95%. It has to be 100% no deaths. What?
What about if you clear a stage? Can you go back to that start of that stage again?
Honestly, I didn't even get that far. I played, and it was fun. And I didn't kill anyone. But I was like, you know what? I'm probably gonna accidentally kill someone, and it's gonna ruin my whole experience. I'm good, and that's why I never really gave it a. It's a shame, I mean, I'm sure some people will defend it, and there's stuff to defend, get good, all that stuff, and that's fine. Whatever, I like to throw some, Castlevania on these people, see how they do. But it was just one of those things that I was just like, I can't do this. I don't want to waste my time and accidentally mess up. So I didn't touch that again.
Yeah.
As far as like there's definitely bad stealth sequences in video games that suck. One of the better ones, I haven't even tried this yet. I do want to play it though at some point. Is Lord of the Rings Gollum.
That's meant to be a terrible game.
Terrible game.
It's meant to be terrible.
But it is a stealth game. There are plenty of stealth elements. You're Gollum. You know what I mean? So, and from what I've seen, what I've seen from footage.
Terrible.
Tenchu looks better than this game.
For me, it was Deathloop. I hated that game.
I've heard good things about that one.
I think you love it or you hate it. I couldn't find any enjoyment out of it. It was just made it such a hard game that I couldn't enjoy any of it. And you kept on. So you get the way it's called Deathloop is because you die and then you kind of get thrown back at the start of that section. So every time you die, you have to redo a section again and again and again. Instead of just like you die and then you respawn like, a little bit back from where you were, it's like you could be right at the end of the section and have to redo the whole lot. And yeah, that was just frustrating and annoying.
That kind of reminds me of old school games on N64, PS1 that would not give you a lot of save points or like checkpoints, and then you die right at the end. Duke Nukem Zero Hour for N64 did that all the time. Right at the end, there'd be like a tripwire or something that blow your ass up, and too bad, no checkpoints. So you have to begin the level again. So it sounds like you're dealing with that.
Yeah,
that is BS.
Yeah, it's not fun. It takes the fun out of the game. Also Metal Gear Survive.
Was that even a stealth game?
I don't even know. I just think I think because it was called Metal Gear, and then you go, oh, and then,
No, no,
yeah, it
that
was
didn't work.
terrible.
No, yeah, and it's a shame with that because Metal Gear is it's a name, and yeah, I loved the first one. The second one was all right. The third one was brilliant. I played like the first 10 minutes of the
I
fourth
didn't like
one.
the fourth one either.
No, I think by the time the fourth one came out, they were 1, 2, and 3 kind of went their own way. But by the time 4 came out, Splinter Cell was kind of like kicking butt, and I think they were trying to take too much from other stealth games. It kind of lost its identity a little. That's just my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong if anyone wants to contradict me on that.
No, I agree with you. I'll stick up for you. It's okay.
Thanks.
I was looking actually though. The first stealth game was actually in 1979, named Shoplifting Boy.
Oh.
So yeah,
Wow.
you went into the shop and stole some stuff, and that was when the stealth genre started.
I know around that time for Commodore, you had the original Wolfenstein games.
They had a bit of a stealth element to them,
right? Yeah.
But they were not like the be all and end all of stealth.
No.
I think stealth peaked in the 90s, and now we're kind of seeing the end of the stealth era.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where, like I said, you can throw a stealth section in any video game now. I mean, there's Mario games where you have to sneak around, be quiet, or else you'll be caught. Zelda games do it. Every game does it.
Yeah.
Whatever your favorite franchise is, right? Whatever your favorite big single-player campaign franchise is right now, I guarantee you there's at least one part where you have to be quiet and not be seen.
And I like that in a game, but not. I think everyone's just sick of it for the full game. I think that's what hurts the stealth franchises.
I'm trying to think of the games. Like, okay, Spider-Man has a stealth section, a couple of them where you play as Mary Jane. Starfield does have parts where you have to be quiet. You have to use some guile.
Yeah.
Mario, Zelda, yeah, they all have parts where you have to be quiet.
Yeah, I think that's about where it's at. I don't know where stealth games. I think where stealth games are going to go is VR. That's where they might make a comeback. If you can make a really cool VR stealth game, that would kind of be fun, and maybe add some horror elements to it.
I'm about to say that, like, in terms of being quiet and all that, I think you already got even with like Resident Evil Village VR. It's not a stealth game, but you got to avoid the giant 10-foot lady, so you got to be careful around there. I never really got so attached to the stealth genre, and I'd be lying if I didn't say this. I think I've been pissed off at stealth elements more than I've been impressed by stealth elements. But games do need that. You need something to break it up, and there are parts in life, our regular life, where you have to be quiet. So it's nice to see that represented in video games. But as far as the genre itself goes, nah. I don't see it really ever, at least anytime soon, having a big revival. I could be wrong. I will say this, though. If it does have a revival, it needs to be a new franchise. I don't see any franchise, Hitman, Splinter Cell, Metal Gear, Thief, Shoplifting Boy, any of these games really make it. It's got to have to be a new IP. It's got to have to capture the people's imagination.
It's got to have to be
clever. Yeah, just like a new paradigm, as they call it. That's the only thing I think that would revive the stealth genre. Not the stealth gameplay. The stealth gameplay is here to stay. Any video game that hasn't come out yet that you might be... Give me any game as long as it's not a sports game or a boomer shooter or anything like that. And I'll be like, oh yeah, there'll probably be a part where you have to be quiet. In that. I was playing Black Mesa. A first-person shooter as much as you can get. And there were parts where you had to be quiet because if you made noise, everyone would get up and they would trip the tripwires and you'd blow up. So you have to be quiet at that part. Yeah. That will not leave, but as far as the genre goes, no.
But so what we're trying to say is we think every game will be a collaboration of all genres. You're not going to have... You're thinking that games are starting to put RPG elements into a game, stealth elements into a game, FPS elements into a game, and all of a sudden, all the games are becoming the same game, kinda.
Well, going back in time, 19 years, San Andreas. There were stealth elements to that, but there were RPG elements to it too. You know, you drive more, your driving skill goes up. You use submachine guns, your submachine gun skill goes up. You know, things like that. You see it even today. Oh God, what was I playing? I play all these, like even Mario Wonder, for example. You don't get skill points, but you get badges. You know, you're definitely more equipped towards the end than you were at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, so I agree with you on that. You're going to see kind of like an amalgamation of all these different genres. They'll still be centered around, you know, 2D platformer, first-person shooter, Western RPG, JRPG, top-down, isometric.
It's probably the perspective that's going to be the biggest element, but you're going to have a fair bit of everything in all of the games because that's where it kind of goes. I suppose the only genre that's going to stay probably truer to itself is maybe the horror genre, because not everyone wants a horror game. So you kind of either do or you don't want a horror game. So they're probably more likely but they'll incorporate some stealth elements, some RPG elements into the horror games to make them kind of a bit more exciting.
Well, horror games just give you that much leeway to work with. If we could talk about movies for a second, think of like, you know, you got your scary movies that are just straight out bloodbaths. You know what I mean? There might be a jump scare too, but it's mainly just like, you know, Jason tipping over in a car or things like that. But then you have your more subdued horror genres where you don't see the danger. There might not even be music, no dialogue. You know what I mean? And I think that will be represented in video games. You will have your horror games that'll be just straight out like Left 4 Dead, maybe some of the more egregious Resident Evil games. But then you got your games like Layers of Fear, you know, that are definitely more cerebral, definitely quieter, definitely don't rush into things, take your time. And that's where the stealth genre will kick in again. So, yeah, I see the horror genre really being the one that kind of carries stealth games into the future.
You just said then movies, and I said that stealth games are probably in their prime 90s, early 2000s. Also around that time was the thriller in the movie section. Now, thriller in the movie section have kind of disappeared. Like, there's not movies that kind of have the intensity that those thrillers had back then. So maybe it's just the way people are evolving as well, that we're not into that kind of slow burn kind of thing. We want games that kind of give us reward straight away. We want games that will kind of, you start playing it and you go, oh yeah, this is fun, and we can play sections. And stealth games were always a bit slower and more time consuming, I would say.
You're catering to an audience that lives in the age that when a new television show comes out, they're not sitting down every Friday night to watch it. They're going to pick a day, they're going to sit their butt down, and they're going to watch 12 to 15 episodes of something in a row. They're going to want that information just coming right at them. And maybe in a way that's kind of reflected in video games now. You know, you're not going to want little pieces here and there. You're going to want everything everywhere all at once. Just hit me with stealth, you know, rhythm, RPG elements, all this into one big goulash. Now, for better or for worse, if the game is good and it can do it all competently, sure. Personally, I'd rather have, you know, I'd rather than do one thing really, really, really good than 10 things. All right.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's just me. That's just me. Comment below if you disagree. It's all right.
Yeah. Everyone's writing in there now how much.
Yeah. F you, Woody.
Yeah. You are so wrong.
Yeah.
We are not those people. I sit down every Friday with my daughter and watch The Last of Us. Oh, The Last of Us. Actually, we never spoke about The Last of Us.
Well, even that. Okay, so that actually that has the same problem that Manhunt does. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking about Last of Us 1. Haven't played the second one yet. It's a stealth game through and through. But did you notice, like at the last part of that game, it's no longer a stealth game? Like now you're going through, you're shooting people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
so we've had enough of this. Here's a gun. Go for your life.
Yeah. Now you got an assault rifle, so have at it. Here you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as stealth games go, that one was actually. I always compare that to Manhunt because it just reminds me so much of Manhunt, like the mechanics and everything. So because of that, I love Last of Us very well.
I would say that The Last of Us had the best story for a stealth game. I'm going to give it the award as the best story.
But even that, like when people talk about Last of Us 1 or 2, they're not saying, "Oh man, that was a great stealth game."
No,
you know, they don't even talk about it. And it's competent stealth mechanics. It's not bad. It's not busted. It works. But that's not what everyone's talking about. They're talking about the story, the dialogue, the characters, the immersiveness, which is fine. You know, it does have a great story. It does have great characters. But sometimes I think people sleep on the gameplay itself. People forget about the gameplay too quick. And as much as I love the TV show coming out and being successful, I think that kind of buries it a little bit more. People forget that there was a solid stealth game underneath all that.
Yeah, it's funny how that comes about. So, is there any stealth games coming out soon, or games that that you're thinking, hey, these could be big, these could be big for next year? I honestly can't think of anything.
Neither can I. I like you said, I think the focused stealth game is gone. You know, you will still see stealth elements in video games. That's not going away. But you're not going to see a game that just strictly stealth. I mean, I'm sure a new Thief will come out, and the Thief fanboys will be all into it. I'm sure down the road, even Splinter Cell might have a revival, or Hitman. But the only game that in the future that I would see being
after you buy it for $1.
Right. They haven't even announced it yet. The only stealth kind of game that I would see being big is Last of Us Part 3, if and when that ever gets announced. But even then, it's not going to be like, wow, this new stealth game is coming out. It's just going to be like, wow, the new Last of Us is coming out. You know, so I just don't see the stealth genre, like the label, living.
You've heard it here first. It's dead. Stealth is dead.
Stealth, okay. The stealth genre is like rock and roll.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to hear rock and roll today. There are plenty of people that do rock and roll, but they're not rock and roll artists. You know what I mean? They're not strictly rock artists. Maybe they'll do a song or something, but then they'll go back to their fluffy pop shit. You know, but don't worry, they'll have a song in there with a guitar, and that's pretty much what it's going to be for video games. When you play a stealth section, that's the guitar solo playing.
Yeah, I could agree. Well, maybe there'll be some more sniper games for me to play, because there hasn't been a good sniper game come out for a while now, so someone's probably making it just for me. And I can tell you all about that when it happens. But until then, I'll probably have to go back to Call of Duty. I was playing the Disassembler actually a little bit last night. Have you played that one yet?
I have not. It sounds intriguing.
I think that's what it's called. Let me just Google this to make sure that I'm not saying the wrong thing. What it is it's a game that looks very much like Minecraft. It's a voxel kind of game. So if you haven't seen what that is, it looks Minecrafty, but it's not boxes. They're kind of little boxes. So like grass will be made up of lots of little boxes, and like buildings will be made up with lots of little so it looks pixelated, but it's not like what you would think it is in a like normal kind of games. When I say it's not as boxy as Minecraft. Anyway, the gameplay is all about playing. You've got to play and go and basically blow stuff up, break things, destroy things. You can go into creative mode it's more destructive than Minecraft. Minecraft's probably a bit more about survival, where this is more about you're just going into a house and you're leveling that house, and then you're getting away from the cops. Basically, the story is that you're that guy, and you've got given this house to go and blow up, or this car to blow up. You go and smash it, and then you get away from the cops as best you can without dying. So yeah, I think it's really, it's just different. I've only played like 1 or 2 levels out of it, so it's definitely really kind of fun and different. So on PlayStation Plus, I'm just trying to check on the game so I can never find.
While you're checking on that game, I do want to give a shout out. There's another stealth game I completely forgot to give a shout out to, and it's got a fan base, so I want to make sure I give it a proper shout out. Beyond Good and Evil, Ubisoft game, PS2, Xbox, GameCube era, but it's seriously come out for everything since then. You can get it on your Switch, I believe. That's a really fun stealth game. I remember playing back in the day. It's more of like you take pictures of stuff too, and you have to avoid these robots and stuff and whatnot. There's some fighting, but you're not gonna last. You're not supposed to be a fighter. That game was really good, but once again, we're talking about franchises. Beyond Good and Evil 2 has been long delayed, rumored. I may have come out already, but it's one of those things where even interest for the game I think is at an all-time low. So once again, another franchise that kind of goes by the wayside.
Okay, so I was completely wrong on the name. It's called the Teardown. And yeah, definitely going. It's on PlayStation Plus. It's just come out like a day or so ago. It's so different. You've got like hammers and things, and it just sounds like a normal kind of game, but it's like someone gave you a big hammer and you could go through Minecraft and go and break towers and things down, and then you can go and jump in a loader and go and smash some buildings up and drive cars through things. But the way that things fall apart, the physics part of the game is what makes it so different and fun. Like, I don't know, I'm probably not selling it as good as it really is, but it's just super, super fun. Definitely Tear Down. Okay, I've said the right name now. We can move on.
Tear Down, yeah.
Definitely go and try that one out. What are you playing this week on your channel?
Well, right now I'm still going through. I did Black Mesa, and I had a great time doing that. I had such a good time with doing that. I wanted to do it again, so I wanted to play the original Half-Life again. But I figured, make it a little different. Anytime I can try to do something different on my channel, I will. So I am playing through Half-Life, but the PS2 version. Stiff. The PS2 controller,
You are very, very, very into the old games. That's just too hard. That's in a too hard basket for me.
And seriously, if you've been watching my footage, I've been dying a lot more than I did on Black Mesa. I thought it'd be the other way around. I'll make it through as I always did, but it's definitely rough. But after that, I'm actually gonna go through the entire Half-Life saga, with the exception of Alex, because my VR doesn't work with my computer. So that'll be. I'm going to complete Half-Life PS2, then I'm going to do Opposing Force, Blue Shift, Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Now I'm going to do that entire series. Plus, I still got my Duke Nukem levels going on. I don't know why, but I just got this massive audience for Duke Nukem. Like, I'm getting like a K views within a week on some of these videos.
Duke Nukem's greatest fan, though.
Yeah, I know, I guess.
Yeah, so like everybody knows you and Duke Nukem, like, so that's like whenever I think Duke Nukem, I think Woody, like that's how it goes, So
killing aliens and tipping strippers, man. That's what it's about. For the record, the main reason was because it was one of those games I played right when I was going through puberty, and I remember going to a cousin's house, and as bad as I am with mouse keyboard here in '97, it was rough. And I went over his house, and he let me play Duke Nukem for like a good 3 hours straight. And I was hooked. And I ended up getting it for the 64, which isn't as good of a port, but at least it was a port. I could play Duke Nukem, you know what I mean? So I was satiated till then. And then later on, it came out for the 360. really during the heyday of the Xbox 360 arcade. You know, I think it may have came around the same time Symphony of Night came out for the Xbox arcade, and that just like once again just made me go, made me fall in love with it completely. And now that I got a PC where there are literally like small estimate, I'd say at least 400. Nah, probably more than that. Probably closer to 800 uploaded levels. Most of them are shit or weird like experimental artsy stuff, but still they're there. So I got a lot to crack on. But right now I'm actually doing the actual like original game.
Did you ever play the 2D Duke Nukems?
I played the first one, the very first one, and I also played Manhattan Project, which was actually a Manhattan Project was another Xbox arcade game came out, but it was more in the stuff. And even though it was still Sanjay Son doing the shake it baby and all that shit, it was because like if you play the first two Duke Nukems, Duke doesn't really talk. In fact, he really doesn't have that much of a personality at all. It's more of like I don't know if you've ever played Rolling Thunder, but it's more of like a Rolling Thunder-esque game where it's 2D. You shoot dudes in like this 2D plane. There's doors you can go through, stuff like that. Fun game, very fun game, fun enough. But it's kind of like comparing Grand Theft Autos 1 and 2 to Grand Theft Auto 3. You know, like once you got to here, now it's changed. Now we're doing this. And Duke Nukem 3D kind of did that. It was tongue-in-cheek because it was the third Duke Nukem, and now it's, it's
3D.
Technically, it's not 3D. It's actually a 2D. They manipulate it somehow.
Yeah.
It's technical. You probably understand it better than I would. But yeah, I'm doing the Half-Life saga. I'm doing that, and as I said on the top of the show, I'm hoping to get my Portal tomorrow. I'm gonna go to my
I'm
local.
not sold on those things. I'm not sure how I feel about them. Like so basically, you could do that on your PCs. So anyone that doesn't know what these portals are, they're basically you have to have a PS5, and then when you open up this portal, it will then stream the game to this portal thing, and so you basically don't have to turn on your TV, and you can go and play this thing when you're laying in bed or whatever. You can go and play it, but you can only play it around your house, as far as I can understand, because it only works in range of the Wi-Fi in your house.
See, for me, that's good though, because like I do like to stream, and sometimes streaming can just be a hassle. You gotta sit down, you gotta get your stuff ready. So if there's like a thing I can just stream like if my Switch could just stream right off the Switch, I'd have like 20,000 videos.
But can you
right
stream straight out of the portal?
Okay. Admittedly, I don't know that, but you can stream straight out of the PS5. You can stream natively to YouTube and Twitch from your PS5.
Yeah.
You can even upload videos. Of course, pro tip for anyone who does plan on putting up videos from YouTube, PS5 only gives you an hour worth of footage time.
Right.
Which I learned the hard way. I tried to record something and then it got cut off because I hit the hour. Meanwhile, like I got like hour and a half long plays that I've streamed using my computer software. So it's limited to that. But still, if it can do it, I'm happy. If it can't do it, well, hey, it's another toy, right?
Yeah, I get it, but I'm just not sure.
It can keep the PSVR 2 over here company, because Lord knows I haven't touched that thing in like 2 months.
Because I know for myself, like for me, it'd be really, really cool if not necessarily the big games, but like say your little indie games, if you could put them onto this portable, and then I'm catching a plane or a train somewhere, I can pull out my portable and I could play it there. That would be cool. And I don't know if it does that. As far as I know, I don't think it does that. I think it's more about the streaming in your house.
No, I mean, the way I looked at it,
it's $350 here too. What are you guys paying for it? $200?
That's a good idea. Yeah. I should probably see how much it is before I
Okay, we're all helping Woody make decisions on if he should do this, buy this or not.
Yeah. PlayStation Portal.
Yeah. Oh,
it's all freaking.
There's $350 in Australia.
Yeah. No. Well, eBay. Yeah, I can't find it on like any actual store. I might not be picking it up tomorrow. Maybe it's all sold out. But from the looks of this, yeah, I'm looking at saying goodbye to about $300.
Okay.
Which is, okay.
It's not terrible. But then
I've spent more on less. So
well, that's the same price as a Switch. The console or computer thing that I'm really interested in is Lenovo Legion. I think that's what it's called. Have you seen that thing?
it's funny. I'm looking at PlayStation Portal on GameStop, and it just gave me a whole bunch of copies of Portal 2 for PlayStation 3. I already got that. I don't need that again.
Yeah.
There we go.
So have you seen the Legion? The Lenovo Legion.
I have not.
Okay, let me sell this to you. Imagine like a Switch, but it's a PC.
Like the Steam Deck?
No. It's more like a Switch. So it's like the Steam Deck, but you can take the sides off it, like this.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you can take the sides of it, then you can use it like as a mouse. So if you're playing an FPS or something like that, it just looks phenomenal, and it's got like double the battery life of a Steam Deck.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Not interested in that? Can I
Yeah,
sell you? Sell you one of them.
It's not that I'm not interested in it. Like, honestly, I'd probably get a Steam Deck first if I was going to go there. But even that, I'm really not in a rush to buy. I could see myself getting a Steam Deck in a couple years. So maybe that would be something that would wind up on the pile. But I'd definitely have to research more on it before I make that decision.
Yeah.
Or at least research I have a lot more than I did with the PS Portal. Am I right, folks? Yeah. So no, that's just the way it is. I always, anytime I see a new toy,
yeah, I'm much the same as you. I want it too. Oh, well, I didn't want a Steam Deck because I thought they were comparable in size to a PlayStation. A Nintendo Switch. But when you actually pick one up, you instantly want one. If you've seen one in real life, they are so much better than what the Nintendo is. Like the screens are like double the size almost. The sound in them is phenomenal. They really do look like every penny that you got to pay for them. So I would suggest that the Steam Deck is worth considering.
Well, anything gaming family, just remember Christmas is coming up.
Yes. And they released the OLED Steam Deck also just a week ago.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Yes.
Wow. That's interesting.
So that's what I'm going to put it on my Amazon song wish list. Obviously, everyone will go out and buy it for me. I'll have a
How many you need? Like 6, 7?
All of them, all of the above.
Yep. At least one for every bathroom,
Well, I think so. How about we wrap this up and we'll come back next week and do it all again. And we're going to be controversy. Let's get some controversy. Is anyone's got anything controversial? Let us know for next week. More to come. Yeah. Thank you very much, Woody. And thank you all guys for watching.